Hello and welcome to the 55 Minutes of Heaven we call the D1Baseball Podcast. I am your host, Michael Patrick Rooney. Tonight's episode brought to us by good friends at S2 Cognition and Pitch Logic. I want to say thanks to those guys. It's been awesome work with them the entire season. Tonight, we have a special guest. We kind of have two special guests. We're going to talk about the MLB Draft that's coming up next week. As we always say, the 2025 season cannot start until the 2024 draft is completed. So we need this draft to happen so we can figure out how many of my 8 for Omaha are wrong, which is probably many. So let's get to our guest panel. We have the great Aaron J. Fitt, the great Fitzy, who's back from a vacation in Bora Bora or somewhere exotic, which is lovely. We've got the director of credibility, David Seifert. Seif, good to see you. And then we have our most famous listener, our most famous caller, Chris from Louisville, the great Chris Burke. Burkey, this is like a football scrimmage. You're going to be on the ESPN call of the draft. This is like, I don't know, you get to like rehearse or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, and I appreciate you guys inviting me to do so.
Yeah, with your legal pad and your 78 categories of stats, it's amazing.
Right. That's it.
Yeah, Seif, best draft room you've ever been in. Can you name a year? Does a year stand out? You're the only one of us that's been in a draft room, to my knowledge.
Man, I forget what year it was, but I know the year I was with the A's and we took Eric Chavez. People were just beside themselves. I mean, everyone was so happy. The room was screaming and yelling. It had to be 96, 90. I'm old, Rooney. I'm road 95, 96, 97.
That's the era, yeah.
There, but yeah, I mean, there's, every time you take your number one guy, there's a congratulations and there's, guys are excited. But when the A's took Chavez, I mean, the whole room just erupted. Like, that was the guy they wanted and they got him. So it was that was not the first pick. So you guys were holding your breath that he was going to get to you. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Do you remember who went ahead of him? Who screwed up and took someone different?
Oh man, I go back and look, but no, off the top of my head, I do not.
No worries. I'm Googling that when we're done. I love that.
But I think a year or two later, we took Ariel Prieto. Because we were on the cusp of making the playoffs, and he was big league ready, and he did okay, but he obviously never fulfilled the expectations. But he was one of the first Cuban defectors. I don't know if you remember that name or not, but
yeah.
I think that was that was the next year, and then Ben Grieve was right in there somewhere too. So it was a
Ben Grieve, yeah.
That's awesome.
Ruins, I need to take issue. I have been in the draft room.
You have,
and in the Cal second and third grade intramural draft room, we destroyed it. So I just like to say we went with all second graders, took no third graders.
Wow.
And won the league championship. So when I got my first pick, there was a similar celebration in that room because we just nailed our first pick. So
zig when they zagged.
You're like the Cleveland Guardians. You always go for the birthday first. So you look for the youngest player possible.
That's right.
Draft.
Age bias.
Age matters in our draft.
Yeah. Well, all of that pales in comparison to the intense pressure that you feel in a South Bend Fantasy Football League draft room every year in September. Like, there's no MLB draft room that can compare to that. But I don't mean to brag. Let's move forward. Very cool. That Eric Chavez, outstanding.
Yeah, heck of a
That's
play.
cool. Hey, so here's what we're gonna do, boys. So this is gonna be not a mock draft per se. But what we're going to do is we're going to each take a spot in the draft and just make a pick on our gut. We're not going to try and guess who that team's going to pick. You kind of think of ourselves as scouting directors, like who would I take and why? And then the three of us can kind of say, hey, thumbs up, I'd be in on that pick, thumbs down. Here's a concern I have about that player. We really want to use the picks of the first round as a reason to take ourselves through the top college players in this draft. We'll also do a couple sleeper picks that are going to be later round guys at the end. And I'll work us around. Berkey, you're going to have 1-1, and we'll go from there. So but again, like it's I think the fun part about this is you have to really think about your own biases. Like, I know a player, like my favorite player in this thing, which I won't say out loud yet, reflects, like, I don't have like this great PowerPoint for it. Like, it's a lot of my gut. There's a lot of like emotion around why I feel about that. So I think this will be really fun. So let me pull up my spreadsheet really quickly. And all right, so Cleveland has the first pick. So Berkey, who are you going with? Who would you guide us if you're the Guardians?
Yeah. Am I on a shot clock here? Do I have to I feel like I need some guidance. I've been known to be
I'd say
worried.
try to be 30 seconds with your pick and your player and your what you like about him, because we do have 30 picks to get through.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well in that case, I'm going to go Charlie Condon. For me, it's Condon or Caglianone. That would be my top two. And I'm going Condon. I think it's the safer bet. I think there's more positional flexibility. I think also there is a batter profile, a hitter profile with Condon that's hard to ignore. It's more than just the loud power. It's a career 410 batting average. He hits the ball in the air. In his career at Georgia, he hits the ball in the air 70% of the time. So to me, there's very little fear that he's going to get to his power in the games, especially when you combine that with his exit velocities. But again, it's more than power. It's an elite hit tool. He led the country in hitting in the Southeastern Conference as a power hitter. Like I said, I love the defensive flexibility. I think people forget he was a high school quarterback. He was actually going to go play college quarterback. So I think the level of athlete is maybe a little undervalued. So for all those reasons, and then a lot of the makeup reasons, the character and humility and those kinds of things, I'm taking Condon 1-1.
Fitzy and Seif, thoughts on Condon?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with the guy who led the nation in hitting and also hit more home runs than any player in 40 years, 30 years, I guess. It was 97. So whenever. It's been a long time since anyone hit more home runs. I mean, come on, the guy's a stud. And, and it's not like this is a 1 year flash in the pan. I mean, he was national freshman of the year last year as a redshirt freshman. I mean, I know it's crazy. He was a little bit of a late bloomer. He had that redshirt year. It's well documented, but it's 2 years of truly elite production. And yeah, I agree with you that it's more athletic than maybe you think. I mean, maybe he can't stay at third. I think Berkey, you and I have talked about this recently. Is it Alec Boehm? Is it Chris Bryant? It's that kind of a frame. Bryant played third base longer than maybe some people thought. Boehm's still there, right? I mean, I think he could stick there and give you some defensive value in addition to some serious offensive value.
Go ahead, Seif.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. I'm with Berkey. It's Cags. Condon, those are two good choices. He decided Condon. I mean, I'm not trying to blow holes in Condon. I do think there's a higher, I think it's like a 55th percentile swing miss whiff rate on the break-in stuff. So that's kind of an area concern. And we're nitpicking here, but I mean, there's a little concern with the swing miss on the break-in stuff. And I didn't learn this until the other day because I'm actually putting together a tail of tape of Condon and Cags. Between Cag's best bolts to the opposite field and his pull side bolts, 2 miles per hour difference. Between Condon's pull side bolts and Oppo, there's 12 miles per hour difference. Now, that's not huge because Jacob Wilson was the same, 12 miles per hour, and obviously we're seeing what Jacob Wilson's doing pro ball. And then the other thing that is a little concerning for Condon is his home and away splits. If you looked at those, he's hitting 342 on the road. Slugging, I think 30-40% less on the road than at home. So there are some yellow flags, but certainly nothing red, and certainly nothing that would take Condon out of a legit 1-1. I mean, I think there's 4 guys for 1-1, and Berkey's choice is a great one.
Yeah, I'm with you. You laid out a great case for him, Berkey. I love the makeup. I love the kid. He had to, go to the Northwoods League after redshirting on a team that wasn't actually all that good. All the things that he's going to encounter in professional baseball, he seems super well equipped for it. This season he had, like you said, Fitzy, it's literally the 6th highest home run hitting season in the history of college baseball. And we're not playing 75 games anymore. And he also, by the way, led the country in hitting. I'm with you, Seif. The home road splits are a little spooky, if we're nitpicking 1-1. And I just tall hitters spook me a little bit. He's 6'6". That is a weird profile, him being right-handed too. But again, if I was a Guardians fan and they took him 1-1, I'd be popping the champagne bottles, right? Let's go. If he's an awesome pick. Let me go second. We'll go clockwise here. And then number 2 is Cincinnati. And so you got Bazzana, Weatherholt, Cags. I'm actually going to go Cags. I just love this is one where I'm not going to be very scientific. I understand he's a first baseman. It's interesting that Cags gets dinged for Torkelson and Andrew Vaughn when he's like twice the size of them. Like, I mean, I know he's not literally twice the size of them, but I think Cags, this is anecdotal, I get it. The science guys are going to hate me, but the fact that Cags had a 30-game hitting streak blows my mind. Like, I just don't think of power hitters doing that. And I know the chase rate is concerning, but he hits the ball so stinking hard. I actually like that he's an aggressive swinger, because when he gets the bat on the ball, it's an absolute screamer most of the time. So I get it. Like, he's first base. He's probably too slow-footed to play left field or right field, I suppose. But I just I can't get off how hard he hits the ball. You know what else? The other part I'm dealing with is emotion. Like, he's the scariest dude, period. Like, when he comes up, it's just like, gee, like if I was an ACC coach, I'd be like those last 3 ACC games that Florida beat NC State and they beat Clemson twice. Cags homered in each game and had multiple RBIs. Man, he's just a game wrecker. So anyway, go ahead, Seif. Thoughts on Cags?
I'm right there with you. He'd be my choice for 1-1 as well. I mean, it's well documented. I think my man crush on Cags is kind of like Kendall's was for Asa Lacy 3-4 years ago. So it's pretty high up there. But I mean, he's 80 arm, 80 power. He gets to his power. I see the chase rate. He did lower the chase rate, though. I mean, it was over 41% last year, and now it's only 37. But, I mean, at least it did go down. And he's actually one of only 3, and the other 2 you've never heard of. He's one of only 3 players from the 2023 season to 2024. He tripled his walk rate. He cut his strikeout rate in more than half, and he raised his ISO. And so a guy like that, only athletes can do that. And on top of it, I love Condon. He's a 50-55 athlete from my eyes. Cags is a 70 athlete. And you talk about positional versatility, agree with Berkey. Condon has it. But Cags, I actually think you could run him out there in right field. He's a 40 runner, but there's a lot of 40 runners in right field. He's got an 80 arm, so the profile's there. The bat obviously plays there. He can play first base. And I know he probably profiles as a reliever. If he stays hitting, he profiles as a reliever. But the guy throws 100 off the bump. So you have some even more positional versatility if everything goes wrong. So for me, Cags has it all, except for the chase rate.
Go ahead, Fitzy.
It's so fascinating to me that to call a guy a 70 athlete who's a 40 runner. It feels well, I mean, right? Like, it feels like those two things are at odds. But like, I'd be curious to see, because I agree with you that he is obviously like a specimen. But like, what makes you put that kind of an athlete grade on him, given that he's a 40 runner?
He throws 100 and he hits the ball 121. I mean, who else in the world does that? That's athleticism. That's strength. That's athleticism. I mean, yeah, maybe Weatherholt's quicker, right? But obviously Dakota Jordan is a better athlete, and there are some better athletes. But I mean, Cags is an elite athlete. They don't make him much better than Cags, even though he's 6'5", 245. The 245 is the reason he's a 40 runner. Not the lack of athleticism. So.
Tell that to Bo Jackson.
Bo was an 80 plus.
He weighed 250.
Not human.
Sorry, Fitty, are you done?
No, go ahead. I don't have that. I mean, he's a dude, but go ahead.
So a few things on Cags that I would say, and I'm not saying he's not touched 100, but Jack Caglianone's last time pitched on him, he's throwing 89. He's throwing 87. And that's not really the point of what you're saying, but I do not think Jack Caglianone could pitch in the big leagues. I don't think he could. That doesn't discredit what he did in college, but his pitching trends were not headed in the right direction. I think some of that's because he was tired. I think some of that's because he was kind of knew he was never going to pitch again. But I think Jack Caglianone, more to your point on some of the things you said, Saif, I think Jack Caglianone has the chance to be the most famous player to come from college that I can remember. Like, if it all comes together, he could be Bryce Harper famous. He could be Bryce Harper great. I think he's that great. I think his potential is that great. The scary thing for me on Cags, he finished the regular season with 3 doubles. 3. He had 3 doubles. By the time he got through the tournament, he had 8. But, on the year, he had 43 extra base hits. Like, it's a weird deal that he doesn't hit the ball in the air very much. And so when he does, he hits homers because the power is so great. And here's one that I saw on him that gave me some pause while I went Condon over Cags. Did not hit a home run on a pitch over 94 this year. 0, which I thought was odd. So even though I saw him hit a ball against Chase Burns at 98 his sophomore year. So it's not like I worry about him, but I just thought that was interesting. So I think Cags' ceiling's higher than Condon. I think Condon's a safer bet. But I do think Cags has a chance to be one of the most famous baseball players in the world. And if you took him, if he was your first pick, I think you got a chance to hit one of the great home runs in college draft history. Seriously.
Yep. Burke, this is a comment question. So Condon, to me, he's already maximized ball in the air, right? 70 line drive or fly ball, over same time. Yeah. Cags is closer to 55 in the air, 45 on the ground. So is there room for improvement? I mean, Cags had 30-some home runs with a 55% in the air rate. Yeah. So
could he be better?
If he gets it to 65, if he makes that 65, now is he all of a sudden a 45 home run guy?
Right.
Is that
right?
Okay.
And I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I love how you talked about his improvement. And I think when he shelves pitching, he's going to improve even more. I'm buying. But the flip side would be what if against better pitchers, he hits the ball in the air less? What if against better stuff, the ball even goes in the air less? Now, I will say he has the best end zone width, meaning the lowest of all these dudes. Like, this dude's bat to ball is obscene. And one more thing, Runes, and I think this is funny. Condon's crazy tall, but Cags isn't.
Yeah, they're like an inch different. Yeah,
it's 1 inch. But he's so big, you don't think of him as much as tall like you do Condon. So I think that's interesting too, because it is still a tall hitter.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's funny you say that, Berkey, and Fitzy, you're going to do Colorado here in a second. I looked up, I'm concerned about JJ Weatherholt's height, or not his height, his size. But then I thought about Michael Young, and I'm like, Michael Young was 6'1", 190, and if you drafted JJ Weatherholt and got Michael Young's career, you'd take that in a heartbeat, I think. But I don't know, like how much different is 5'10" than 6'1"?
I think
go ahead,
we can get to that. Am I on the clock?
Yeah, you're Colorado. So go Rockies.
We can get to Weatherholt in a second, but not yet, because we're talking about Travis, the wonder from down under Bazzana right now.
Well, he'd be a good Rocky.
Delighted that Bazzana made it to me at 3. Would have taken him 1-1. Honest to God, I would have. I'm all in on this guy. I could not be more all in on him. I just think he's the safest bet in the draft. He is going to hit a lot. He's going to hit for power. Berkey, you and I were talking about his ability to drive the ball to the pull side. Something that he worked hard on. He dedicated himself to doing this year. And he went out and hit 20 home runs to the pull side, and it's just his ability to hit left on left. I mean, he talks about how he thinks it's easier to hit left on left because there's one less pitch to worry about. You're not going to see a lot of left on left changeups. It's, it's just fastball, breaking ball, and his splits in his career over 3 years are better against lefties. I love that. It's just a natural born hitter who's incredibly intelligent. He's not tall, but he is a tank. He's an absolute tank. Yeah. He's strong as a bull. He can run. He's a 70 runner. Great defender. Love the makeup. Love the energy. Because he's compact, I think the bat is even safer than these taller guys that we've been talking about that, in my opinion, have a little more risk. I think he's as sure thing as you're going to find in this draft. And I think he's a perennial all-star.
Go, Berkey.
Love Bazzana. Love how he gets to his pull side power. Think he's got a chance to be a Alex Bregman, Chase Utley kind of player from an impact standpoint, but also like a fabric of a winning team kind of player. I just think he's got all those intangibles too. The height piece about all these guys doesn't bother me. I mean, you look at Reggie Jackson or heck, even I think Willie Mays and Hank Aaron were under 6 foot tall. Like, there's Johnny Bench. Like, there's a lot of guys in that 5'10" to 6 foot range that are crazy strong. And Bazzana's kind of that. He's kind of that, whatever, 5'11", 6 foot, just like, kind of looks like a high school running back kind of dude. But he's really understood how to get to his pull side power without cheating to get there. That's why he hits left-handers. That's why he rarely swings and misses. The one thing I'll say about Bazzana, if I'm nicking at him, like, he doesn't swing enough. I don't like 76 walks. I don't think when you're facing Pac-12 pitching, you should walk 76 times. And his swing rate shows that he swung 32% of the time. That's not enough. So if I'm tracking one thing I'm going to watch about him is, does he start to swing more? Because he's going to see a lot less pitchers scared of him as he moves through the chain.
Go ahead, Seif. Bazzana.
Well, I think anytime you're picking third, he was the third pick here, picking third, a guy that you could have picked first, I think you're on the right guy. I mean, because to me, there's something to be said for Bazzana as number one overall as well. So everything Berkey said, I didn't know a lot of the inside the numbers. He's on a spreadsheet there, but I just know I like watching the player perform. I mean, I saw him strike out 3 times against Hagen Smith at Global Life during week 2, and I still love the guy. I mean, I saw him in the Cape. He's a bat, and he's not a great defender, but he's a solid defender. He's not going to hurt you at second base. He's not going to win any Gold Gloves for sure, but it's just a complete player. Hits for average, hits for power. He's going to walk. He's not going to strike out much. And to Berkey, like, he is a fabric guy like Chase Utley. So
yeah. I love the Bregman comp for him. What I love about Bazzana is he seems to have this like borderline arrogance, like unshakable confidence, while also being very bright and having awareness. And I just think like today's Major League Baseball can really break a hitter. It's so hard. There's 12 out of 400 dudes hitting 300. 12 out of 400 plus hitting 300. It's that hard. And so if you're not like crazy confident, I worry about you. And I'm not worried about that with Bazzana. So, Seif, you're going to go fourth here. We're a little bit out of order, and that's totally fine. It's our draft. We do whatever we want. So
I can't wait to hear this pick.
You have Oakland and at number 4. And, do whatever you want there, Seif.
Oh, I've got to go with J.J. Weatherholt. He's number 3 on our top 200 board for D1. And, man, at the beginning of the year, he was a lot of people's number one overall, Weatherholt. I mean, that was the word coming out last summer and into the fall. He's a 70 runner. He's a base stealer. He hits home runs. He's twitchy, strong. And the twitchy athletes, those are the ones you go for, right? He's everything. But what really sold me, and I didn't have him on, we've always had Cags. I've always liked Cags. But what really sold me on Weatherholt when we bumped him up here in the final of the top 200, I saw him make a play, and it was on live stream, so I was not there. But he made a play. I think it was the conference tournament or the regional game. He was shading towards the bag, at second base bag from shortstop. He made a play. He must have ranged 15, 16 feet to his right into the hole, backhanded it, threw off his back foot across the diamond, BB, 70 arm, got the runner. It wasn't a slow runner, but that just impressed upon me like, okay, he's a shortstop. I saw that one play. He made that one play. He's a shortstop. People can't do that in college, and he did it so easily. He starts beating his chest. So you talk about the confidence. J.J. Weatherholt is confident. And I think it kind of back a little bit, but going in this draft, he was regarded as the best pure hitter in college baseball. And I think his hamstring obviously slowed him down, missing those 6 weeks there, and may have, even when he was back playing, it may have slowed him. But it's not like he had a bad year. He didn't have a sophomore year, but he had another solid year. But just the fact that JJ can stay at shortstop, and I made a mistake. I always talk about it. Paul DeYoung, when I was an area scout for the Philadelphia Phillies, Paul DeYoung was a bad third baseman, a bad second baseman. They tried to catch him here at Illinois State, and I had no dreams whatsoever that he was going to be a shortstop and a good fielding one for the St. Louis Cardinals for numerous years. I just put him out left field. I said, hey, take him 6th round to 8th round, somewhere in there. I didn't leave him for dead, but so that's my big learning moment as a scout. Like, Weatherholt did it once, super impressive. He's a shortstop. He's not a second baseman. He's not a center fielder. So long-winded there, but J.J. Weatherholt, 4th overall for the Oakland A's.
Love it. Fitzy and Berkey, go ahead.
So I'm going to drop a comp on you.
Oh,
When it comes to the caliber of athlete, the twitchiness, the run tool, I think Weatherholt's a left-handed hitting Chris Burke is what I think. And Berkey put up better numbers as a junior than Weatherholt. But JJ wasn't healthy this year. He had the hamstring, missed a bunch of time. Clearly was not 100% when he came back, but he did hit 16 home runs last year. And stole 35 bags, and wasn't 50 bags, like Berkey stole. But I mean, it's that kind of run tool. It's got that kind of twitchiness. Now, Chris Burke was what, top 10 pick? Is that right? Number eight.
10.
Okay. All right. I mean, and had a nice big league career. I mean,
Not that nice
is where I'm going here, So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. What do you think, Berkey? What do you got?
Yeah. So you're dogging him, which is fine. Well, here's what I would say about JJ. I think if you're taking him fourth, you agree with Seif that he can play short. I think the bat, it's the prettiest swing in the draft, but I don't love the batted ball data. It's a very high ground ball rate. And this is not a big man. And if you're not a big man, you have to pull the ball in the air. Okay. His average pull side launch, Seif, was -3 degrees this year. The average ball he pulled this year went -3 degrees. And if you look at his spray chart of his 8 home runs, 5 of them were center oppo. So you ask yourself, especially in the modern day, with the ball performing, the bat, whatever you want to say, it's performing so much better in college. If you're not pulling your home runs in college baseball as a smaller man, do I believe you're going to get to your power in pro ball? That's a hard jump for me to make. Now, if you think he can hit 280, 310, play shortstop and hit 15 homers, heck yeah. That's the number 4 pick in the draft. But if he hits second, if he plays second base and he's hitting 10 to 12 homers, there's probably some better buys out there, my opinion. So that's just kind of where I stand on Weatherholt. Like I just worry that he's not going to pull the ball well enough to have as much home run impact in the pro game.
Yeah, I think size is like, does the size translate to he needs to run, he needs to impact the ball, he needs to stay at short for it to all to come together, and he's just not that big of a person. That season is so grueling. Berkey, let me ask you this. So I would focus more on Weatherholt's sophomore year as more of an indicator of who he is. Now, that could be the outlier season, but I'm choosing to say that that's who I think he is. So his line drive percentage plus fly ball percentage that year was like 60.5%.
Right.
So what would be a good, I don't have great context for that. Like, what would we prefer that to be? Get this 70%?
No. 23 would be great. I mean, if you're in the ball in the air 6% time, I think that's pretty good. I think the best, you look at the best like power guys, which nobody's drafting him to be the best power guy. You'd love it to be like 65-ish, to 70-ish. You would love it. But here's the problem. His freshman year, he had 52% ground balls. In his junior year, 46% ground balls. So like you said, I don't know. Now, again, I literally love watching the kid hit. Like it's the prettiest swing probably in the draft. I can't ignore some of the batted ball data.
Yep. Fair.
I worry about a little bit just about the physicality. I mean, it's I'm not biased against shorter players. I love shorter players, but he doesn't strike me as that. He's super twitchy, but not physical. Like there's a shorter guy like Bazzana's not tall, but he's a freaking tank. This guy isn't. And I just worry just a little bit about the impact down the road.
Yep. Hey, Berkey, take us to, I'm going to pretend the White Sox take a high school player because a high school player is probably going to get picked in and around here. So that takes you to pick 6 in the Royals. We're not going to worry about the high school guys on this podcast. We're going to stick to the college guys. Who's the next college player you're taking for the Royals?
Seif, I cannot wait to hear if you agree with this or not, but I think I have to take Chase Burns here. Like I have, I have history with Chase Burns is viewing him as a reliever, but I've also seen him flash 4 real pitches. Like I've seen the curveball and I've seen the changeup. And I've also seen the way Skeens went from essentially using 2 pitches last year to using as many as 5 this year in 1 year's time, and say that it's possible that Chase Burns could become more than a 2-pitch pitcher, because this isn't like a guess. I've seen his other 2 pitches. Now, he didn't use them very much this year, but they exist, and they're plus when he throws them. I think he's a very good athlete, which I'm a huge believer that starting pitchers have to be good athletes. And he honestly has thrown a lot of strikes. Like, this isn't a guy that has a high walk rate. So I feel like the makeup is somewhat more, and sometimes even the stuff, especially when you just watch the 2 pitches, sometimes profiles a little more as a closer. But I think if you're the Royals, are you ever going to get the opportunity to have a player with this kind of stuff? Probably not. You need to draft him.
Go ahead, Seif. What do you got on Burns?
I think it's a perfect pick. He's next guy on our top 200, but for all the reasons Berkey said, and I mean, this fastball, slider, changeup, they're all, fastball, slider, and curveball were all 90th percentile whiff percentage pitches this year. So the slider, 62.6% whiff rate, which I think it was actually number 1 out of anybody in Division I baseball. And fastball, 35.4%, curve, 60%. And he also has a changeup. He doesn't use it very often, but I know Fitty's seen it too. Like,
it's good. It's good. It is.
It's a good pitch. He just didn't throw enough to qualify for, all those metrics. But no, I agree. He's the athlete, his loose arm, good delivery, repeatable. I saw him a little off. I saw him against Florida State at home, and he wasn't behind the ball. He was just swinging. He was just swinging wide a little too early, so he wasn't behind the ball, so it didn't have that good carry, a good ride. But I saw him enough before that and after that on video and live stream to see when he's behind the baseball and he can make that heater rise, and then he throws the 2 breaking pitches. Like, he's unhittable. I mean, it's invisible stuff. So, no, great spot, great pick.
Yep.
Go ahead, Fitzy.
Yeah, all in on that. Would take him in this spot also. I think I finally have. Well, I've gone back and forth on Burns versus Smith all year long. I don't know that there's a wrong answer, but I love Burns. I do think it's a more complete package. I agree with you, Berkey. I'm running him out as a starter, and I think he's going to be an all-star, starter. I mean, it's that Garrett Cole kind of package. There's not a lot of these guys come along that where I think he can be a, Garrett Cole. Like, it's a guy that holds, pitches at 96 to 100, with 3+ secondary pitches. Like, he's plenty physical, plenty athletic, repeats. Like, yes, he's emotional, on the mound, but he's done a pretty good job channeling that, I think, this year in a starting role. He's proven that he can, he can harness it okay. He certainly maintains the stuff deep into games. It's a starter. And I actually like him more as a starter because I think he's more in control emotionally when he's got to pace himself a little bit. So I think it's actually good for him.
Yeah. I had him once this year against NC State, and the thing that struck me is the stuff's overwhelming, and he just floods the strike zone with it. And, things may change. It was 1 look, but I was blown away, like, how in the strike zone he was with everything. Like, it was just over, like, the hitters were helpless for 2 hours. It was unbelievable. I got the Cardinals, boys, and it really, like, it's kind of like this next, we're kind of moving into a next tier.
Yeah.
To me, it's really like, am I taking Hagen Smith, the lefty from Arkansas? Am I taking Braden Montgomery, or am I taking Nick Kurtz? If I'm really focused on college players, or at least that's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah. They all have things that give me pause. I'm going to take Hagen Smith. Still worried about, I wish there was a 3rd pitch that I was more aware of. There may be one in his bullpens. I've just never seen it in person. I know he's got a TJ from high school. I don't know, that doesn't make him unique, but that is something. But I just, like, he's just so sturdy, like, he's so physical, and the arms, so the arm strength is crazy, and the breaking ball looks like hitters just can't see it at all. I would take Hagen Smith. So go ahead, boys. What's your take on Hagen Smith?
I'll go. I mean, I love him. love him. I have seen the makings of a changeup. Also, not worried about that. I think he's got feel. I just think he's a winner. Long track record. Lefty with elite deception, elite slider. Fastball plays up because of the deception as well, and it's plenty firm. I mean, sign me up. I know it's unorthodox, the delivery, but he's so physical. I think it's one of those unorthodox, like in a way that Max Scherzer's unorthodox, where it's going to work. He's going to be a starter. He's going to pitch in the big leagues forever and be a dude.
Love it.
Seif?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to the guy. I referenced Travis Bazzana striking out 3 times against Hagen Smith earlier, but that was the best game, week 2 at Globe Life, Arkansas versus Oregon State. And at that time, I think the Oregon State lineup was better maybe than it finished the season. But that was the best college pitching performance I've ever seen. Hagen Smith, it was an 80 slider. He was up to 97 or 98, and he was just slicing and dicing the entire lineup. He also has a change. His third pitch is a change. It's definitely usable. It'd probably be better than average if he just used it more, but he's just so fastball slider dominant because that's really all he has to use. But and I go back and forth between Hagen Smith and Chase Burns. I really do. I mean, Burns is – you could have said Berkey, you could have said Burns 5th, and now we're talking about I'm sure you could have said Smith 5th and Burns 6th, so we're talking about Burns now. But left over right, I think he's Clayton Kershaw. He could be Clayton Kershaw. I mean, you dropped a Bregman comp on Bazzana. Hagen Smith could be maybe not Kershaw's career, but Hagen Smith could be Kershaw for 4, 5, 6 years. Again, I know he had the Tommy John before. I get all that, but man, he is a special, special arm talent. And we talked about confidence and makeup. Hagen Smith's definitely got that as well.
Yeah, love the confidence and makeup, like all in on the kid. It worries me a little bit about some of his zone percentage stuff. Like, he only throws the slider in the zone. And to be fair, Burns' isn't much better, but he only throws it actually for a strike 45% of the time. I had some college coaches this year tell me, like, we're just taking. And we felt like sometimes we could get 4 balls before he threw 3 strikes. His overall zone percentage, 46%. Again, Burns wasn't a ton higher. It just strikes on strengths a little bit. Hitters get a little bit better. The stuff has to get onto the plate a little bit more. I don't know if his ceiling's quite as high. And the changeup, he threw it 8.6% of the time. He only threw it for 53% strikes. Like, I just think the changeup has a ways to go. I think Hagen Smith's going to pitch in the big leagues for a long time. I don't know if he has a top end of the rotation ceiling for me. I'd love this. I mean, I think he pitches 3rd or 4th. I don't know if he's got – like, I think if it all hits with Burns, he could be a 1 or 2 starter. I don't know that I feel the exact same conviction on Hagen Smith.
I do. I think that's a ceiling.
Okay.
Seif, you want to take the Angels? You're muted, Seif.
Sorry about that.
Good.
I don't know if Angels. I don't know if they stick to quick to the big league theme here, or they took the Shanuel last year, so I don't know if they need a guy like Nick Kurtz. Because he'd be a fairly quick mover, but he's a first baseman. So I'm not going to go with the next guy on our top 200 list. I'm going to slide down and I'm going to pick me up Braden Montgomery. Obviously out still with the broken ankle, but he'll be back in time to jump on in pro ball right after the draft. But the thing that impressed me the most with Montgomery was his improvement from the right side. I mean, he could always run. He could always really throw. He always had power. He's a switch hitter. He always had a nice left-handed swing. But just the improvement he made covering his holes up from the right side, at least through the first 2/3 of the season. I know he struggled there the last third. But Montgomery, 5-tool guy, profiles perfectly for right field. I'm not sure if he's a 3, 4, 5-hole hitter when it's all said and done. But on my draft board, he'd be the next guy if I'm picking Angels.
Love it. Go ahead, boys.
I'm probably a little lower on Montgomery. Just not quite as sold on the hit tool, but I I also didn't get to see him a lot this year, so I'm going to pass the baton here to Coach Burke. I think Burke's got some strong opinions on this one.
Yeah, I think he's one of the more. I think he's probably for me, he's a little bit more in the Vance Honeycutt, like high risk, high reward kind of college bat. Like it's very toolsy, like I would say he's got a better arm than Cags. Me. Like I think this dude has a cannon, especially if you're talking about as an outfield arm, and it's huge exit velos, like huge impact. But the K rate's immense. I don't even know, Seif, you said he got better. I didn't look at his right-handed numbers last year. His right-handed numbers this year weren't very good. I've had, I know our draft guy, Kylie McDaniel, thinks a lot of people are just going to make him left-handed hitter, which makes it feel project-y. But it's also, if I'm going to take a guy in the top 10, I'd love to think the ceiling is 30, 35 home runs. And I do think that is with Montgomery. And I think he's going to play an above average major league right field with a bazooka. So I'm not saying I don't like the pick. Those are some of the warts that I'm a little fearful of with Montgomery.
Yeah, I think the talk was going into the year that maybe give up the right side. But I think, again, the improvements he did make from the right side, maybe hold that off for a while longer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'd like to at least give him a crack at it, right? See a little bigger sample size. But I just worry if you think it ever goes to the place where he only hits left-handed, like, wouldn't he need to start doing that?
I think I'll chime in with this. I thought Montgomery was going to be the steal of this draft or the highest value of this draft because he's lower on the board. But the last month of the season spooked me a little bit. I just like when guys struggle in college, it spooks me. I get it. They're not going to hit 1,000, but like he kind of disappeared for A&M for a few weeks. And that freaked me out a little bit. That said, like if you're picking 8th and you get Braden Montgomery, there's a lot of drafts where he's a top 4 pick. Like,
yeah,
this kid's incredibly talented. He's not had a bad season in college. Like he really kind of contradicted my previous point. Like he's been a great player for 3 years. So, hey, let's do this, boys. Let's go. Let's kind of do a little bit more turbo now that we're
Are we through the top 10?
Yeah, this is going to be pick number 10. Okay. So, Berkey or this is going to be pick number 9. Berkey, you take the Pirates, and let's assume they're going to take a college player.
Do I not get a pick here?
Oh no, you take the Pirates, Fitzy. Sorry, that'll wrap round 2.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that. It's really kind.
So of course that order.
Yeah. So I'm actually also going to bypass. I know we've got Kurtz as the next guy on our board at D1Baseball, but I'm going to bypass the college first baseman, even though I certainly do like Kurtz. I'm taking Walker Yannick. I just think the catcher. Wow. Give me the premium position. I love a premium position guy, a catcher that has athleticism. Love him defensively, but also, I mean, the way his bat emerged this year, I think he's still on the come offensively. I just like all the indicators there. I think, again, I mean, it's hard to find an all-around catcher, and I think this guy fits that bill. I think he's got all-star upside behind the plate.
Berkey, Seif, you got a strong opinion on Yannick?
I think it's a solid pick. I think it's probably the least risky pick to make right there. I like and like you said, it's catcher. It's catcher with a chance to hit. How many of those come along?
Yep, good athlete. Berkey, take let's see. So there's going to be a couple high school picks coming in here. It's it's in a lot of the mock drafts. Washington and Detroit take high school players. So let's just assume that happens. Okay. So Berkey, take us to Boston at number 12. Who do you like there?
Christian Moore. Was that quick enough? Like yes. If you to me, the Yankees in Boston do a very nice job of drafting players they know can handle the moment. They know that can handle the environment. Christian does not come without some concerns. There's some end zone whip stuff with him that's like way higher than the norm that would give you a little pause. But it's also world class. I mean, one of the best second baseman seasons in the history of the sport, maybe the best. And he shined the brightest on the biggest stage. He's got that kind of chip on his shoulder mentality where it's like, it feels like he's out to prove everybody wrong, whoever everybody is. He's just convinced that everybody, you know what I mean? Like even this year with him not winning some of the Player of the Year awards. So I think he stays at second base. The interesting thing, like the defensive run saved on him were actually very high. He was like the 5th defensive run saved second baseman in the country this year, even though I hear people questioning his defense all the time. And it's just the impact is so immense that I'm going with more there.
If I may just push back on one thing, best second baseman season of all time. Can I give you 2001 Tennessee second baseman that year? Hit 435 with a 1353 OPS, 20 homers, 21 doubles, 11 triples, and by the way, stole 49 bags for a really good team. I'm just saying,
played shortstop.
You did play shortstop that year. Doggone it. What a joke.
Thank you for reading those numbers.
Well, I backed on you earlier, as a mediocre big leaguer. I got to give you your props. One of the great college players of this century.
Thank you.
I remember scouting Berkey thinking these stats look like they're fake stats. Like there's no way somebody has 20 bombs hitting 435, 50 bags. I would be curious, Chase, at least 2000 season. It's not what Chris, it's not the same. Christian Moore with 35.
Ricky Weeks would be in this discussion also, but again, it was in the SWAC, so.
Yeah. There you go. All right, boys, here's go ahead, Seif.
Yes, Seif, what do you think there?
I was just going to say, well, according to Runes, you did that at Williamsport South, so it doesn't really.
That was bigger back then, Berkey,
20
right?
feet different than Seif. Totally. There's no way to hit 11 triples in the park they have now.
That's right.
Unless it rolls halfway back. Yep. Good point.
The defense would have to pass
just remember this. Helton only hit 20 home runs in his junior year there. So that'd tell you how much bigger the park was.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, let me do I'll take pick 13 for the Giants. I'm just going to take Nick Kurtz because he's slid, I think I would like that talent at that pick. And I wish Nick Kurtz swang more, but he's so passive, but he does do damage and he is 6'6". I think he's actually an excellent first baseman. I wish he wasn't so injury prone too. He does seem to get banged up and stuff like that. But he's a heck of a talent, and he does feel like a big leaguer to me if he stays healthy. His success does not feel fluky to me. I just wish even as a college player, I wish he swang more. I wish he forced people to not, I wish he wouldn't let people walk him at times.
Look at Coach Rooney doubling down on swang.
Yes.
Hashtag not a word. I love it. Good for you, Coach. way to commit.
Is that in my phylum of adult?
Adult. I was just about to say it's very adult way to say swung.
Yeah, I wish he could. I wish he swinged more. How about that? Is that better?
There you go. Well done.
Thank you. So there you go. If anybody's got a strong opinion on Nick Kurtz, fire away.
That's a great value there. I mean, the track record's awesome. I mean, I agree with you. He's a better defender maybe than you expect. He's a good defender. I mean, I just college first baseman. It is what it is, but I mean, it's he's done nothing but produce for a long time. He has power, hits for average, he controls his zone, and he's left-handed hitting. So, lot to like.
Yep. Like it, Seif. This is where it gets dicey. I'm going to make you pick for the Cubs at 14. What say you on that?
I like it. I'm a huge Cub fan here in Central Illinois, so we need bats and we need pitchers. So it's wide open. I know you don't draft on need, but we need a lot. For me, it's really 3 guys. You want the safe pitching pick. It's Trey Savage from East Carolina. You want the safe hitter who's going to produce right away and probably move pretty quick. James Tibbs, and we pretty much need that. Move right away, move quick. And then Carson Benji, good upside, the best athlete of the 3. So it's really, for me, it boiled down to one of those 3, and I'm just going to go with Tibbs. I love the bat. I love the swing. He has power. He's going to hit for average. He's an improving defender. He's definitely below average out there right now, but it's not so much where he's not going to continue to improve and hopefully get to average out there for you. And he profiles well for right field. So I'm picking 14 for the Cubbies, and I'm going James Tibbs.
Like it. I wish, Seif, it's Carson Binge, like binge eater, but I'm going to put that on me because I get you off on a bad foot with my swang that I was percolating. So I sent us down a bad road.
All right, my apologies, and
Carson,
you know me and last name, so
yeah.
have some grace, please. Thank you.
Yes, we show mercy on this podcast.
Yeah.
Fitzy, who would you be left with? You would be
Yeah.
Seattle at 15, right?
Yeah.
I did just pick his pocket, just so you know. I forgot Fitzy was behind me. I did just pick his guy. So
You know,
anyway, take that, Fitzy.
I am a big Tibbs guy, and most of the years, a lot of the year, more home runs than strikeouts, which I just love. Left-handed, pitch, left on left splits spook me just a little bit, but certainly I really like him. But actually, who I like here, and I'm going to reach maybe a little bit on the D1 board, even though Trey Savage is still out there, and I think Trey Savage is really good. I'm just a little more excited about Jurangelo Cincha. That's the guy. I thought about taking him way back at 9 with the Pirates. I took Yannick instead, thinking I would get Cincha with my next pick here, which I'm getting for Seattle. No, I'm Seattle here.
Yeah,
right?
Seattle. Yep, that's right.
I mean, it's again, not tall, but just super electric. And I think now that, get him in pro ball, he's only going to throw right-handed, even though I do think, if he were only a left-handed pitcher with his current stuff, I still think he would be a pro draft. But he's an elite guy for me as a right-handed pitcher, and he's only going to get better. He's still scratching the surface of his potential, made a huge jump as a sophomore. I love the fact that the strikeout rate is good, 113 strikeouts, 90 innings, but also pretty low walk rate. I mean, only 30 walks. He really, the stuff plays. He sits mid-90s. It's easy. I love the delivery and the athleticism. You squint and you can see you can see a Stroman or a Pedro. He's more physical than Pedro was at the same age. But it's that kind of my mind. It's that kind of athletic, easy delivery. It's a really good slider. I think he's only going to get better and better. I think there's a ton of upside here.
Love it. So, Berkey, that would give you the Miami pick at 16. Who do you like there?
Well, let me just say I love the Senja pick. I'm in on Senja. I think he has a chance to be the best starting pitcher in this draft, college starting pitcher. I see Clark Schmidt. I see Stroman. I think he's got a chance to be that kind of dude with maybe even a little more velo.
Clark Schmidt, pretty good comp too. I like that.
Thank you. I think I'm going to go with you, Savage here. I got you, Savage, as a modern day Dan Herron, which makes me old because since he was my day, that means
that's awesome.
My day is long gone. So it's 3 real pitches. It's a feel for a split that he has the rare ability. Like last year, Hurston Waldrop, it's and again, he made it to big league. Did he just make the one start? Is he still in the big leagues? I can't remember, but he had the split. Boom, he ends up right in the big leagues. Your Savage has a breaking ball, has probably more fastball command. Maybe not quite as devastating of a split, but still a really good swing and miss off speed pitch. And it's plenty of strikes with with some ride life to the heater. It feels like a number 3, number 4 starter, kind of slam dunk kind of guy. And I feel like at this spot, that's a pretty good pick.
Yep.
Love it. All right. So for me, that takes me to Milwaukee, and we'll hold off on high school guys. I'm actually, I'm going to take your lead, Fitzy. I'm going to go off the board and this is why I don't belong in a draft room, because I'm just going to go with the player that I like the most. I'm going to go with Brody Brecht. I actually think he provides some safety, because I think worst case scenario, he's a long-time big league reliever. And I think best case scenario, he could he feels more like a high school arm than a college arm to me. He hasn't thrown a bazillion innings. He hasn't been able to focus on baseball. He has made incremental improvements in his strike throwing. It was just so bad to start that he still has not made himself to a great place. But I've heard the kid interviewed. He seems awesome. He's athletic, obviously, or he wouldn't be a scholarship football player at Iowa. And, the arm talent is outrageous. He just does not throw it. If he threw more strikes, he'd be a top 5 pick. It just hasn't happened yet. So yeah, I'm gonna reach for Brody Brecht there.
I love the value upside. At this point in the draft, if we're picking in the teens and 20s and we get a chance for upside, like top of the draft upside, I'm all for taking. I think that's frankly like a relatively low risk. Like maybe he doesn't pan out. Fine. It's a number 18 pick. It's not number 1 pick. Like I feel like there's more pressure to get those top of the draft picks right. If I'm picking at 18 and I got a chance to get a number 1 caliber kind of guy, by all means, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, it does. It feels safer than it should for a guy that doesn't throw great strikes yet. But Seif, did you ever want to be a Tampa Bay Ray? Because now's your chance.
Now's my chance. Well, I'm going to go with we talk about down years. Malcolm Moore is going to be my pick.
Oh.
If you want to point to, like, you want to say, oh, he only hit what he hit. He only hit 255. That is very true, but every other statistic he improved upon. More home runs, much better walk to strikeout ratio. Obviously he had no stolen bases here compared to 3 last year, so I guess he didn't improve upon there. But the thing about him, we talked about Yannick earlier, a good defensive catcher with a chance to hit. I think Malcolm Moore has improved enough as a catcher. You're going to get at least an average receiver back there and a guy who has a great chance to hit. So I would still take Yannick over Moore, and we took him in the right order. But I really like Malcolm Moore. I saw him with the USA CNT last summer. Again, I know he only hit 255 this year, but he has power. He has potential to hit 260, 270, which is really good for a catcher in the big leagues. Provide 15 to 20 home runs and be a solid receiver back there with an average arm that's probably going to play right around there as far as throwing guys out. So Malcolm Moore would be my guy because I'm getting an everyday guy as opposed to, again, the other guys around him, Benj, Siver King, Cam Smith. Those are kind of the guys in consideration around Malcolm Moore.
Yeah, it feels like the data is going to save Malcolm Moore because when you get past batting average, there's stuff in there that can explain that away. And obviously he was great as a freshman. Fitzy, you're the Mets. Welcome to the Mets.
Thank you. It's great to be a Met. And you know what? we're gonna get aggressive here with the Mets. We're a big market team. We want to make a splash. Number 19 pick, guys. I think it's a great spot to roll the dice and shoot for the fences. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Vance Honeycutt. He's lower on the D1Baseball list for good reason. He's lower on, I think, a lot of lists because there is risk for sure with the hit tool. We get it. Like the strikeout rate is high, and the track record for guys with that kind of strikeout rate in college is not great. I mean, it's Jaron Kendall. It's there's examples of guys that have those kind of speed power combination, but the high strikeout rate, and it just doesn't necessarily translate. It's not a great list. I'm going to bet on the aptitude. I just love the makeup. And what he has done, I mean, the ceiling is just incredible. I don't know. Is he the only player in college baseball history to ever have multiple seasons of 25 plus home runs and 25 plus steals? I think that is possible. I think that's what I heard at some point in this postseason. My mind's jumbled a little bit, but it's something that no one has ever done before, and it's just a incredible top of the And here's the other thing: I think the defense increases his floor, right? Because even if he hits 220 and runs into 25, 30 home runs and gives you 80 grade defense in center field, you got a good player. And steals bases and, whatever, he can impact the game in a lot of ways, even if he doesn't really hit. And so I think that actually increases his floor. It just doesn't increase his hit tool floor. It's a low floor with a hit tool, but let's say he hit 318. I mean, I think some pro club, and the Mets are going to be the club because that's what I'm picking. We're going to get him in our system. We're going to make some adjustments and hope he can figure it out. Now, Berkey, I know, has some strong feelings about this one, so I'm gonna.
No, I mean, I think the kid could be George Springer,
yeah.
But it's hard to get past the amount of times he swung and missed. Now, I think your hope is that he just swings and misses at the same rate, and it doesn't drastically go up. Right? If he could just be that and hit 240, play world-class center field, be clutch, hit the ball out of the ballpark and play world-class center field, you could live with 240. I mean, Rooney's 240s above the league average in today's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what you said is the concern, right? Like if you're striking out against college pitching, how could it not be worse? But I agree with every point that you guys both made about he's an incredible kid in the center field. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's not like a football athlete that's trying to trick us into baseball. Like he's an athlete who's playing baseball. Like his athleticism translates. If he makes enough contact, he can do everything on a field.
Yeah. It's just so. I mean, he swings and misses 21% of the time at strikes. Like that's against college strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's what you're scared to death of is the bat won't hit the ball enough, which tends to be a problem, Fitzy.
It does. That's why we're trying to get him at 19 and not number 1 because he's got 1-1 kind of tools, and the hit tool's a question.
The funny thing is there's so many dudes in the big leagues right now that don't make contact with the baseball. Like it's jarring how little contact is. I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but man, hitting has never been harder. Berkey, I've got you with the Blue Jays at 20.
Okay. I need to circle back with Seif. I was prepared when I started studying on Malcolm Moore. I was prepared to not like him, and his data is really good. His data, we talked about pull side launch earlier. His average pull side launch is 15 degrees. Like, and everybody talks about how busy his operation is, meaning, it's kind of the word du jour of like talking about how somebody gets ready to hit. But like, it's 44 walks and 35 Ks. He hits the ball in the air 71% of the time. So anyway, I could see, I believe, I'm scared he's not a big league catcher, but I actually think the bat, like you might end up getting more than people think out of that bat. My next pick, we're in the risky range here. To me, it's either Siver King or Carson Bench. And I'm going to go Carson Bench. It's a left-handed hitter. Feels like there's more hit tool already. You look at the year he put up, 49 walks, 51 Ks. He had 44 extra base hits, like 18 homers, 24 doubles, and a couple triples. Way too many ground balls. It's over 50% ground ball rate. But again, it's a world-class athlete from a standpoint. He can run. He was he would be a draftable pitcher. Just 2 years of college hitting. Like, I still think there's some room to grow. And we talked about Honeycutt's end zone whiff. Ben's one of the lowest of this group, 9% end zone whiff. So it's world-class bat to ball. He's tied with Cags as the lowest guy in this group of hitters with that end zone whiff. So I just think if you take Carson Bench, you can get him hit the ball in the air more. You got yourself, a starting outfielder for sure, maybe an all-star outfielder.
It's a much higher floor than Honeycutt, no question. It's just a matter of I don't think you're getting the kind of ceiling, and that's fine. Maybe it's an all-star. I mean, I love him. I love the athleticism, but I just don't think there's the kind of impact upside that you could get with Honeycutt. But again, Honeycutt may not ever get to that. But anyway, it's a good pick.
Yeah.
Yep, love it. So, boys, I'm gonna presume that Minnesota takes a high school player, or a high school player is getting picked in here. So I'm gonna fast forward myself to 22 in Baltimore, and I kind of am coming down to Siver King and Cam Smith. Both players have concerns clearly, but both players have some strengths, some carrying strengths that get you excited. I'm gonna go Siver King just because I love that he feels like kind of a high school player in that. We don't know what he can become. We were kind of watching him grow up at Wake Forest. And, I'm not trying to be condescending to the Division II baseball he played, which is very good in its own right. But he just keeps coming as a player. He just seems like a middle-of-the-field athlete that you could put literally anywhere. And he's a little bit like Cags in that he swings at everything. And so that causes him to not strike out very much, but it also causes him to make terrible contact a lot too. And I don't know what the data says there, Berkey, but I perceive him to be just not a free swinger, kind of a wild swinger.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that is going to be problematic, but he also plays the game with like a real freedom. He doesn't get super like sped up or wound up about things. I kind of like that about him for professional baseball. So yeah, I'm going to bet on the athlete and continued improvement in his game. Anything in the data, Berkey, on Siver King that is striking?
Yeah, I mean it's a well above average swing rate. So he swings 8% more, which lines up with what your eyes are telling you. It's 51%. For reference, Cags is 53. Like he's swinging, and then it's actually pretty good contact rates, but it's a very high chase. So average chase is 23 and his is 32. Yeah. So that's where you're getting what you said, which is just swinging a lot with a lot of bad contact.
But it's also, and here's what I'm gonna throw out there. To me, it's like a Vladimir Guerrero approach and feel for the barrel. I've seen him swing a ball by his eyes, like 95 at your shoulders and square it the heck up and get on top of it. And you're thinking, how in the world did he do it? How did he do it? It's like Vlad Guerrero kind of freakishness to me. I think it's serious bat speed, serious innate, just feel the hit, and he's still figuring it out. He's still, I think, quite raw. Love the upside. It's like Mookie Betts kind of athleticism and versatility. Like you can squint and see a lot of things with this guy. I love the pick here. I'm actually a little now that I'm talking about it, I'm pissed off I didn't take him earlier.
Love it. Saif, I have disappointing news for you. Not only are you not going to get to be a Dodger, but you're going to have to be a Brave, which is going to hurt the Phillies' feelings within you. So we're going to skip over the Dodgers. Almost every mock has them taking a high school player. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. So you got the Braves at 24, Saif.
Man, I think I'm just following down our board here, and there's the next three guys on our board. I like all three. I'm probably, which are Cam Smith, Florida State, Santucci from Duke, and DeBarge. I just fell in love with DeBarge at the Sun Belt tournament, man. Just a little dynamo, twitchy, strong and twitchy, has power, speed, arm strength, going to play shortstop. But this is where I wish I was a doctor and I could read the medical reports. But I'm going to go pitching. Atlanta has always developed pitching. I'm going to go with Santucci. I mean, lefty up to 96, 97. Plus breaking ball. Better than average breaking ball, better than average changeup, plus changeup. 3-pitch lefty. I got to go Santucci. I saw him the same day with Fitt earlier this spring. We were at Coastal Carolina. It was his first outing. As you know, he went down, I think, week 6 or 7 in 2023, Fitt. So this was his first time back. But really just loved the big lefty. He could throw more strikes. He could stay healthier, but I'm going to take a little gamble here because I like left-handed pitching and go with Santucci.
And he's also super athletic. He came in as a two-way player, plays center field, center fielder. I mean, like he's a really, I love that. I love a good athletic lefty. I think you can easily see a plus slider because it's a high swing and miss rate. Like he really has feel for that pitch. Got to throw a little more strikes. That became an issue for him this year. But I think it's a perfectly cromulent pick at this point in the draft.
Go Team Cromulent. Fitzy, you're going to be the Padres, and AJ Preller, there's no way he's taking a college player, but I'm going to make you take a college player. So apologies to Mr. Preller. Yeah. Who would you take if AJ Preller went to the bathroom and the pick came up accidentally and you had to step in there and take a college guy?
I like a bunch of these guys on the board still. I love Kaelen Culpepper. I kind of want to go there, but I mean, positionally, I don't know. We shouldn't be drafting a need for these teams here. So maybe I'll just take Culpepper because I don't know if he's a shortstop or a third baseman in pro ball. I think he can be a shortstop. I think he has a 70 arm. That certainly plays. I saw enough from him, athletically and with the actions in the range. I think he's okay there. But if you put him at third, I can see him being a Gold Glove third baseman. I've seen him dazzle at third base before. I love the physicality. I guess that's why I lean him over to DeBarge, is just because he is more physical, but also similarly athletic. I think he's super twitchy. I think there's a lot more upside still coming with the strength. And I just think I think it's pretty good value here. So we're going to go with Kaelen Culpepper.
It's awesome to see him just go off in the postseason too. Like
Yep.
that home run off of Hagen Smith, hit for the cycle in the regional. He was
Yep.
great in the super. It was awesome. Berkey, so I got a 2-part thing for you. So you're going to be the Yankees at 26. And if you don't take Cam Smith, I want you to tell me why he's still on the board.
I think there's some swing concerns. The bat gets stuck behind him when he loads that I think some people are a little concerned about. It's huge impact. I mean, his 90% exit velocity right there with Cags and Condon. It's a 52.5% ground ball rate.
Mm.
And it's 16 home runs. Like, it's this huge exit velos. But in a world, I'd say the same thing about Culpepper. He hit 11 home runs. Like, he better be able to play shortstop. Like, now, again, maybe he gets to more of it, but, some of Culpepper's exit velocity data isn't great, especially considering the modern game we play in. Cam Smith's exit velos are great, but last year was not a good year for him. He made an incredible leap this year. So, you got to give him a bunch of credit for that. Maybe he can make another leap with some of the mechanics so he can get the ball in the air a little bit more. Can he play third? Does he end up in right field? How does that make you feel about the value of that pick? That would be, you asked me why he'd still be on the board. That, to me, those would be the concerns.
Got it. Who would you take if you're the Yankees?
Man.
Stay off my player.
I know the answer here. I know the answer.
And this is the beautiful thing, because I'm not going off your all's board. So, I mean, aren't the Yankees always going to go big or go home?
I think so.
I would say, I mean, the Yankees are they? No, let me just stay with who I would take, right?
Yep.
Let me just say, by the way, yeah. A
lot of conviction in this pick.
Yeah.
Is this how it happens, Seif? People are just stumped in the room?
No, it usually doesn't go this way. No,
Caught flat-footed.
I really was. You got me talking Culpepper and Cam Smith. I'm going to go.
Cashman is on the hot seat, so this is an important pick. I don't want to undermine that.
It's like a Minnesota Vikings situation. Berkey's going to time out and lose his pick.
Uh-oh.
Well, Fitt would not let me live this down.
Do it.
I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to take Blake Burke.
Oh!
Ooh.
Not the volunteer I was expecting you to take. I
love that.
I had you on a different vol here.
I just keep going back to my notes. Like, this is where I have him on my board. Here's the thing with Blake Burke. Okay. When you look at the data on Burke, okay, it's a high swing rate, but it's also a very high contact rate. So, like, he's getting his swing off. It's over 51%. Like, he's swinging the bat, but it's also like a 12% end zone whiff. Like, it's very low. Like, it's 110, 90 percentile exit velocity. And we saw the jumps he made this year with the doubles and using the backside of the field. And I think he's a world-class first baseman. The Tennessee staff will tell you he was like the glue leader on that team. And I just feel like it's a big league bat with impact that plays a top shelf first base. Like, defensively, I think he's the best first baseman of the group. And he swings way more than Kurtz. He swings and misses a little bit more than Kurtz, but, like, he swings more than Kurtz, and I kind of dig that about him. So I'm going Blake Burke, and it's a left-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium. Maybe it hits.
He was so good at the end, like, all year, but it was Seif, what's the scouting view of Blake Burke? Like, what I can only see the results I saw. Like, he was so frightening when he came to the plate in Omaha. What's your scout hat say?
No, I think Berkey nailed everything. I mean, he's huge throw at the plate, left-handed power, I saw him for the first time the fall of his freshman year. Tennessee was playing, I think, Louisiana Tech in Millington, just in a fall scrimmage, and he just blew me out of the water, just like easy. The ball just jumping off his bat. So I locked on him early. I've liked him ever since. I know he had a down sophomore year, but as much as Cag's improved in a lot of departments with his Burke, I mean, oh my gosh, the improvements that guy made. My only reservation with picking a first baseman, he is a first baseman, locked into first base. It's kind of like why Kurtz fell, right? Like there's going to be not another Blake Burke, but there's going to be left-handed juice. There's going to be good left-handed hitters, maybe a little further down. So I probably would not have taken him there, but he's certainly one of the best college bats there is, and there's certainly a lot of good reasons for taking him there. That's for sure.
And I was skeptical of this guy heading into the year, and boy, did he make a believer of me. I could not have been more impressed with him in the postseason, especially. Just what a winning player and just a really good all-around player. I can't believe how good of a defender he turned himself into. I'm just blown away by it.
Yep. Yeah, I would have never the version of Blake Burke we saw in Omaha and really all year, but it was highlighted in Omaha. If you had told me that was who we were getting last year in the postseason when he looked like as lost gets, I would have been, good for the kid. So my pick, I got the Phillies at 27, and the three names on my board were Cam Smith still sitting there, DeBarge is still sitting there, and then Caleb Lomavita is the guy I can't get off of, and that's who I'm going to pick. High school center fielder and pitcher, converted to catcher. Still, he's got work to do in his development. He's a wild swinger. Like, he might be the wildest swinger in this whole group. But I don't know. Like, it feels like, again, like there's a lot of wild swingers in Major League Baseball. I do think he's got good bat to ball, like hand-eye. His approach just needs a little bit more strategy to it as opposed to just, see ball and let's go. But, man, he's athletic, and I really think he stays at catcher and could be a hell of a catcher. So Phillies are taking Lomavita.
It's a little like the catcher version of Siver King. It's just like it's the approach needs refinement, but like the innate field for the barrel. Like maybe it's a wild swinger, but like there's feel for the barrel. Like I like that.
Yep.
So 12 walks.
Not a lot. No. You want guys swinging. You've been hammering the table all night. I want to see guys swing. I want to see guys
What do we got to do to please this guy, Fitzy? We don't swing enough. We swing too much.
No, I'm just, you're right, Runes. I'm just backing up your point. 12 walks.
He's not. You can't walk out of Berkeley, Berkey. Like,
you can't walk your way out of Berkeley.
No one's coming to Berkeley. You can't walk out of Berkeley. You better run. So, Seif, take the Astros, please.
I would say Berkey would make a great general manager with all the questions, asking the questions. He would make a lousy scouting director actually making the picks.
Well, we just saw that. The Yankees timed out.
We lost our pick.
So, anyway, back to the question you asked me, Runes. I got to go with my man DeBarge, Kyle DeBarge. So impressive. Go back to the Sun Belt tournament. I'd seen him before in the Cape, last summer in the Cape, and liked the player. I like the athlete, like the twitch and the strength, but just to see him for a few games, I think 3 games, I forget how far they went, but man, it's just super impressive. And it's not like he went like 9 for 12 with 4 home runs in the Sun Belt. I think he was just like 4 for 11 or 4 for 12, just, good, but not great, but he makes every play at shortstop. He has a 60 arm. He's a 60 runner. He's got some juice in there. He's short, strong, and twitchy all combined. 5'10", 5'11", but not a thick frame, but certainly more a Bazzana frame than a Weatherholt frame. I know Fitty was banging on my boy Weatherholt earlier in the wiry strength he brings to the park. But DeBarge is the guy, and I mean he's got 80 makeup. He's an 80 competitor. He has every intangible that you want, and if there's someone who can make it through the grind of the minor leagues, DeBarge is that guy. So I would, without hesitation. And I really like Dylan Driley, and I really liked him too. He's tough to walk away here with this pick, but I got DeBarge ranked higher, and I'm going to stick with him.
Love that.
If you told me that DeBarge is going to be a better big leaguer than Weatherholt, I could be like, okay, yeah, could see it. I think it's a little more physical, similar height, more physical, more of a true shortstop. Similar makeup, both exceptional makeup kids. Love them both. I just like. I think I could. What's the difference, really? I mean, Weatherholt hits left-handed. Maybe more speed tool, but like hit tool. Okay. I mean, we've seen JJ at his best. Anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, don't be surprised. You look up 10 years from now and DeBarge just had the better career.
Yeah, DeBarge is good at everything. He's not like he's just right. He just average size and right-handed like that.
Yeah.
That profile is generic.
I don't disagree with Fitty's overall statement about if you look up 10 years from now, who's the best big leaguer. But like for me, Weatherholt's tools are like better in every area. But I guess at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter tools. It matters your performance right in the big league level. So but they're both great players. And DeBarge, again, just a personal favorite. And this is about the right spot in the draft to take him. So,
Fitzy, do the Diamondbacks. We got 2 more picks, then we'll do a sleeper each.
Gosh, okay. This, I don't think we can let Cam Smith slide more, can we? We've talked about him plenty. There are nits to be picked here, but. You can really dream on him. It's 6'3", 220, something like that. It's a great frame. Again, I think he's still scratching the surface. I love the aptitude that he showed. Just the improvements he made from last spring to this spring, and it started really in the summer last year on the Cape where he got to a terrible start and he made adjustments and tore it up down the stretch in the Cape, and carried it over to this spring. Yes, there's still the ground ball rate. Berkey makes a good point. That is a little bit of a red flag for me, but I do think there's strength. I think there's a lot left in the tank. I think there's projection still with this guy. I think he can play third base. I'm not that convicted in it. It's not a finished product. There's work to do, but I think he couldn't do it. I think there's a chance. I thought about Tommy White here for the D-backs also, which I think is a slam dunk to hit. And Tommy also improved himself defensively, but I think I probably give Cam a better shot to play third base than I do Tommy. And I just like the body a lot more, obviously. So I'm gonna stick with our board here, and this is as long as I'm going to allow Cam Smith to drop. I'm gonna take him at 29.
Love him at 29.
Yeah.
Fitz or Berkey, what are you doing for Texas at 30? Wrap us up here.
I'll take Tanks. I as much as you could poke holes at some things, it's just such a consistent producer. And I think, if Kevin Youkilis can play third base for 6-7 years in the big leagues, I think he was in the big leagues for longer, but I can't remember how many years Uke was in every day. Didn't he go to first at some point? I can't remember, but I feel like it's a similar body. And Tommy really did improve at third base this year.
Yeah.
The difference between Youkilis and White would be Uke was extremely discerning and Tommy swings at everything. The 2 highest swing rates in this draft, this first round, are Amick and White, 54%. These 2 dudes are swinging, and they both come with Chase as well. So that would be different than him and Youkilis. But, Tommy's hit at a crazy high level for 3 straight years of big time college baseball. I think it would be hard to pass up, even though he definitely seems to be slipping to a degree. I think it seemed like 2 months ago, even he was going in the top 15, and now it feels more like 20 to 30. So I'll stop the bleeding with Tommy Tanks and take him at 30.
His career numbers are just mind-boggling. I think because he's so personally famous and the teams he's been on have been so famous. The dude hit 356 for 3 years, 75 home runs and 250 RBIs for his college career. That's bonkers. It's all-time great numbers. So, hey, boys, let's wrap with this. Let's do one more personal favorite that's kind of off the, not first-round pick. So I'll give you 3 names that I'm going to pick one of the 3. So, Jacob Cozart hasn't gone yet. That's intriguing. I think he's a big leaguer for sure. Ben Hess is very interesting to me, even though he just didn't perform great. The guy I'm going to go with is our number 69 player is Austin Overn. He had a terrible year. And apparently he's doing really well on the Cape right now. And, again, this is a guy that was on USC's football team as a wide receiver. It's that kind of speed. Hit 14 triples as a freshman. He's going to play center field. He's left-handed, was a 4-sport athlete in high school. He's got a long way to go as a baseball player. But his athleticism is overwhelming to me. I again, he really had a rough year, but I'm encouraged that it's been better this summer, even though the pitching's not great up there. But Austin Overton's very intriguing to me. I feel like there's a lot left there. Saif, who's a fun sleeper for you?
I agree with everything you said on Over. Loved him at the Pac-12 tournament last year. Fascinating talent, fascinating background, his athleticism. It seems like he just picks up any sport. He wouldn't stayed in it like in high school, just reading his bio back then. But question, how far down are we supposed to go to get this pick?
Wherever you want. Yeah, just a favorite player that's going to get picked in the first 5 rounds or so.
Oh, well, I'll take the easy route out here. Dylan Dreiling. I mean, if you guys, Burke was good at Omaha. Dreiling was probably even better. I liked him going in. He struggled a little bit mid-season. I saw mid-season. He was just trying to lift the ball too much at that point. It was just under everything. But, man, he's got thunder in his forearms. He's going to hit for average. He's going to hit for power. He's only a 45-50 defender, 45-50 runner, and arm strength. So he's a left fielder. But, man, I just think he's gonna hit in the 280s with 20, 25 pops. And Dreiling he is one of the very few hitters left on that board that I think have a great chance to hit in the big leagues. So I know he's in our top 30 overall, but Dreiling's, and he's not really a sleeper, but there you go.
That's a good one, Saif. Berkey, he gets the ball in the air. Did you see that? 70% balls in the air.
Oh, his average pull side launch is like 16. He's right there with Malcolm Moore at the top of that list of these draftable dudes. It's a really flat swing, and he gets to the middle bottom of the ball, really spins the ball well.
Love it.
I like that pick. Guys, I'm going to give you one that I'm very excited about. I saw him twice early this year. Connor Foley from Indiana. You can dream on this joker, guys. 6'5", 235, right-handed pitcher. Just built like an Adonis. He was a 3-sport athlete in high school, a standout basketball player. I like that. Athletic, big guy. And here's what I really love is the fastball. It's we saw him, I think, up to 99 this year, but 92, 96 pitching comfortably I saw up to 26 inches of a induced vertical break. It's like unheard of kind of ride. And that's one of those holy grail metrics people are chasing. One of the days I saw him, it was like 7 strikeouts with the fastball. There's so much swing and miss on the fastball. And there's just so few guys that can just beat you with a fastball when it's coming. This guy can. And yeah, the secondary stuff's still coming. The pitchability is still coming. But I saw, the making, there's like a little cutter slider thing in there. Get him in pro ball, get him some more reps. We can make that into a pitch. I mean, there's some feel for it. There's a little functional changeup, whatever. The fastball plays, the body's awesome. It's a raw former 3-sport guy with a ton of upside. And if you can get this guy in the second, third round, I think that's where we got him roughly. Sign me up, man. That's a potential, home run pick right there.
How about 53 hits he surrendered in 92 career innings? Just doesn't give up hits. Berkey, when we were watching him on Squeeze Play, we weren't worried about the balls, but it didn't look like it was not comfortable either.
Yeah, we were like, whoa, and then he was out in the second, I think.
Yeah. The pitch count was escalating fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not going to have to pay first round money for him, and
it's a big arm,
big upside,
some big whiff rates. Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, I'm not going very far. I've been on this dude for a while, and I think KP would be very proud of me. I'm going Luke Holman, and I just feel like Luke Holman is a college pitcher that when you look at his body, for whatever reason, I feel like there is another jump in him physically. He's one of the few 3-year college players that still doesn't look like he fills out his uniform, especially for a guy that's been at Bama and LSU, and it's tons of strikes. There's some deception and carry to the fastball. His dad was a longtime pro. I think this dude's going to be in a rotation. I'm not saying he's going to be a top one or two guy, but I just think Luke Holman is a starting major league pitcher.
Kind of old fashioned. He's like one of those out collectors, just just gathers outs.
I think he's who's my guy from UCSB that beat Louisville,
Bieber.
Started the All-Star game.
Shane Bieber, yeah.
I think he's a little bit of a poor man Shane Bieber. Like I could see him. I know he doesn't have the snapper quite like Bieber, but I mean it's a good breaking ball.
Yep.
I could see him. I'm not saying he's going to start the All-Star game, but I could see him pitching in somebody's rotation for a sizable piece of his career.
That's a pretty good comp, though. Like, because Bieber wasn't super sexy coming out of college either.
Yeah, and the body made a jump, and next thing you know, he's throwing 96 with a hammer.
Yeah. Love it. Boys, let's wrap it there. We've been on here a while. That was super fun. I love how this again reveals my own biases, like things that it's and it's good to be forced to make picks. Gosh, I don't envy these scouting directors. Hey,
blue one.
Yes. Yankees, no first round pick.
Yeah, sorry.
Berkey just got Brian Cashman fired. He didn't even know it. Hey, Seif, so you got the 200 on the website today, being Wednesday. What tomorrow we're going to get a mock draft, right, from the prep baseball guys?
Tomorrow we're going to get tail of the tape, Cags versus Condon. And then
I love that.
On Friday, we'll have a mock draft. We've got DJ Svilik, the former Marlin scouting director, Shooter, and myself. We're working on that, just trying to bring the latest and the greatest. So hopefully we'll have some good stuff that nobody else knows. But that's going to be Friday now. Shooter's going to add some recruiting information there too. So if this team gets this guy, just kind of adjust. The rumor is, was it William Smith? He's going to LSU, I think. He's the big name going to LSU. But, he'll have some feedback and some info. So it'll be the mock draft plus, I guess, is what I'm going. Yeah.
Shooter stuff is always awesome because as a college baseball fan, Shooter's the one that kind of gives you the so what. Like, here's the draft, but okay, how does that impact the 2025 season? Berkey, what nights are you on the Worldwide Leader for the draft?
We're on Sunday at 5 Eastern, I believe.
And no, just Sunday. You're just doing the how many picks is that Sunday?
So we're doing baseball tonight. That leads into we're just doing the first 30 picks.
First 30 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
We'll get him, Berkey. Always,
I'll actually be making any. Just talking about it. Yeah.
Have you decided what suit you're wearing? That's what America wants to know.
Yeah. No, I haven't decided, but I'll be wearing one.
I hope so.
Berkey,
we're
keep
live
Kylie
from the
corralled.
rodeo, Runes. We're live from the rodeo. We're doing it at a rodeo arena.
So you're wearing your boots?
Yeah, might need to. Yeah. Still got a pair from my Texas days.
Oh, that's amazing. We should pass the hat to have Berkey wear his boots on the broadcast. That would be amazing. Christopher, thank you for joining us. This was awesome. Yeah, Seif, always appreciate it. And that's it. Let's wrap it right there. Everyone enjoy the draft, and then we can get on with the 2025 season. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time on the D1 Baseball Podcast.